I still remember the weight of my duffel bag hitting my shoulder as I stepped off that military transport. 9 months. 273 days deployed overseas. And all I wanted was to walk through my front door and hold my wife Kimberly. The Texas heat hit me different that afternoon. Felt like home in a way the desert never could. I had called her from the base, told her I would be home by 4. She sounded strange on the phone. Her voice tight kept the conversation shorter than usual. I figured she was nervous, maybe planning some kind of welcome home surprise. Last video call, I thought I heard something odd in the background, like a kid crying, but the connection cut out before I could ask. Now, turning onto our street, I smiled thinking about whatever she had planned. Before I continue with what happened when I opened that front door, let me know where you are watching from. And if you have ever had someone betray your trust while you were away, hit that like button and subscribe. Because what I found inside my own home that day, well, you need to hear this. The key turned in the lock, just like it had 1,000 times before. But the sound that greeted me was nothing I expected. Toys. Scattered across our hardwood floor like a tornado had torn through a daycare center. A red plastic truck sat overturned by the coffee table. Stuffed animals I had never seen lined the couch. Crayon drawings covered pages torn from a coloring book spread out on the carpet in a trail leading toward the kitchen. My heart started pounding in a way it had not even during combat situations. Confusion, mixed with something darker, something that tasted like fear. I heard movement from the hallway. Kimberly appeared, and the look on her face made my stomach drop. No smile, no tears of joy. Just wide eyes and skin gone pale as milk. She froze when she saw me, one hand gripping the doorframe like she needed it to stay upright. Then I heard little footsteps, fast, excited. A boy, maybe 4 years old, came running past Kimberly. He had brown hair that stuck up in the back and wore a shirt with a cartoon dinosaur on it. He grabbed onto Kimberly's leg, looked up at me with curious brown eyes, then turned his face into her jeans. He called her Mommy. The word hit me like a physical blow. I dropped my duffel bag. It landed with a thud that seemed too loud in the sudden silence. "Kimberly," I said, and my voice came out strange like I was speaking through water. "Who is this?" She opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. The boy hugged her leg tighter. "This is Lucas," she finally said. Her voice shook on every syllable. "Casper, I can explain. I adopted him." The room tilted. Adopted. Past tense. Done deal. Finished. I looked at the toys again, saw them differently now. These were not borrowed things. These belonged here. This child belonged here, in my home. The home I had been dreaming about for 9 months while sleeping in a tent, eating meals that tasted like cardboard, wondering if each patrol might be my last, when the word came out harsh. "When did this happen?" 6 months ago. She could barely look at me. "I sent you emails. You agreed. Remember, I stared at her. I never got any emails about adopting a kid, Kimberly." I think I would remember agreeing to something like that. Her face crumpled. She reached into her purse on the entry table, pulled out a folder. Her hands shook as she opened it, showed me paperwork. Official documents with seals and stamps. And there, on the signature line, my name in handwriting that looked close to mine but was not quite right. I took the papers from her, studied the signature. My real signature has a specific loop in the C of Casper, a way I cross the final R that I learned from my grandfather. This signature had neither. Someone had tried to copy my writing, but they had not gotten it perfect. "This is not my signature," I said slowly. Each word felt heavy as a stone. "You forged this." Kimberly started crying then. Big gulping sobs that shook her whole body. Lucas looked up at her, his little face scrunched with worry, and that made something ache in my chest even through the anger. "I knew you would say no," she gasped out between sobs. "Lucas is my friend Stephanie's son. She died 8 months ago. Cancer. She had no family left and Lucas was going to go into foster care. I could not let that happen. I could not. So, you lied to me." I felt numb, worse than numb. Like someone had reached inside my chest and hollowed me out. "You forged my signature. You made a life-changing decision without me. While I was deployed. While I was over there thinking about coming home to you. I was going to tell you," she whispered. I was. But then it was done, and Lucas was here, and I thought if you just met him you would understand. I looked down at the boy. He had stopped hugging Kimberly's leg and was watching me with those big brown eyes. He did not understand what was happening. He just saw a stranger in his home, someone making his new mom cry, and I felt terrible about that, but I also felt something else. Betrayal. Deep and cutting and absolute. "I need to make a phone call," I said. I picked up my duffel bag, walked past them both, went into what used to be my office. Now it had a small bed in the corner. Lucas's bed. More toys in a bin. A nightlight shaped like a rocket ship. I called my mom. She answered on the second ring. "Casper, honey, you are home." Her voice was warm, happy. Then it changed. Became careful. "You know about Lucas then?" The world stopped spinning for a second. "You knew." My voice came out flat. "Mom, you knew about this." Silence on the other end. "Then Kimberly called me 6 months ago. She said you two had talked about it through email and decided to adopt Lucas. She asked me not to mention it because you wanted to surprise people when you got home." I sat down hard on the little bed. The mattress creaked under my weight. I never agreed to anything I told her. I never got any emails. She forged my signature, Mom. She lied to everyone. Another long silence. "Oh, sweetheart, I did not know." She seemed so sincere. "Lucas is such a sweet boy. I just thought you had made the decision together." I hung up. Could not listen anymore. I called my sister Diana next. She answered with music playing loud in the background. "Big brother is home," she shouted over the noise. "Did you meet Lucas yet? He is adorable, right? I have been visiting him every week. That kid is so smart." Every word was another cut. "You knew too," I said. "Well, yeah. Kimberly told us months ago. She said it was supposed to be a surprise for when you got back." Diana's voice grew uncertain. "That is right, isn't it?" I explained. Listened to her shocked silence. Then called my older brother Brad. Same story. Kimberly had told him. He had believed her. He had even helped her move some furniture to make room for Lucas's things. The whole family had known for 6 months. They had all kept this secret, thinking they were helping preserve my surprise. But there was no surprise. There was only a lie carefully constructed and fed to everyone I loved. I stayed in that small room for 2 hours, sitting on Lucas's bed, staring at the rocket ship nightlight. My mind kept circling back to the same thought. How could she do this? How could the woman I married, the woman I trusted with everything, betray me like this? When I finally came out, Lucas was asleep on the couch. Kimberly sat in the recliner, her eyes red and swollen. She looked up when she heard me. "I am calling a lawyer tomorrow," I said quietly, so I would not wake the boy. "I need to understand the legal situation here. Please, Casper." She stood up, came toward me, but I stepped back. "Please, just give me a chance to make this right. Lucas needs stability. He has already lost so much." "And what about what I need?" The words came out harder than I meant them to. "What about trust? What about the truth?" She had no answer for that. I slept in the guest room that night. In the morning I called a military lawyer I knew from base. He listened to my story, asked to see the paperwork. When he saw the forged signature, his voice got serious. "Casper, this is identity fraud. Document forgery. These are criminal offenses. Your wife could face serious charges." "I do not want her to go to jail," I said automatically. Then wondered why I was protecting her. "I understand, but you need to know what you are dealing with. She also used your identity to complete a legal adoption. That complicates things significantly." I asked him to look into it, give me options. Then I went home and started going through our financial records. What I found made my hands shake. $15,300 withdrawn from our joint savings account over the past 6 months. I clicked through the transaction history. Adoption fees, furniture, clothes, toys, daycare expenses. Every single purchase made without asking me, without telling me while I was overseas earning that money. But it got worse. There was a credit card I did not recognize. I called the bank. Found out Kimberly had opened it 3 months ago using my information as a cosigner. The balance was $8,200. All charges related to Lucas. When she got home from taking Lucas to a playdate, I was waiting at the kitchen table with the bank statement spread out in front of me. $23,000, I said. "You spent $23,000 of our money without asking me." Her face went white again. "I was going to tell you. I was going to explain everything. When Kimberly." "When were you going to explain?" I stood up, paced to the window. "You forged my signature. You lied to my family. You spent our savings. You opened credit cards in my name. This was not some impulsive decision. This was planned, calculated. You knew exactly what you were doing. I did it for Lucas, she said, and her voice rose defensive now. He needed a home. He needed parents. What was I supposed to do? Let him go into the system. You were supposed to talk to me. I was shouting now, could not help it. You were supposed to treat me like a partner, like someone whose opinion mattered. You were supposed to trust me enough to have a conversation before you changed our entire lives. You would have said no, she shot back. You always said we needed to wait to have kids. You said we were not ready. And that gave you the right to lie, to commit fraud. She did not answer, just stood there crying, and I felt nothing. The love I had carried for her through 9 months of deployment that had kept me going through hard days and scary nights, it felt like ash in my mouth. The next day I did more digging, called the adoption agency directly. They were happy to talk to me, thought I was checking on the status of our case. The woman on the phone was cheerful. Mr. Thompson, we were so glad to work with you and your wife. Lucas is such a special little boy. Can I ask? I said carefully what documentation you received from me regarding the adoption. Of course. We received your initial consent form with your signature, and also the email you sent from your military address, confirming your agreement to proceed. My blood ran cold. Can you tell me what email address that came from? She read it off. It was close to my real military email, but with one letter different. Someone who was not paying close attention would miss it. The agency had missed it. And when was that email sent? Let me check. It was sent on March 14th at 10:30 p.m. Your time. I pulled up my phone, checked my deployment records. On March 14th, I had been on a night patrol, nowhere near a computer. I had documented proof I could not have sent that email. Kimberly had not just forged a signature. She had created a fake email account. She had impersonated me in written communication with a legal agency. This was not a moment of weakness. This was systematic, deliberate fraud. I sat in my truck in the parking lot of the adoption agency and cried for the first time since I was a kid. Not because I was sad, because I was so angry I did not know what else to do with it. My mom called that evening. Casper, honey, Diana told me everything. I had no idea Kimberly had done all that. I am so sorry. You believed her without even asking me, I said. You are my mother. You should have checked with me. You are right. Her voice cracked. You are absolutely right. I got caught up in how sweet Lucas was, how good Kimberly seemed to be with him. I did not think. Nobody thought I said. You, Diana, Brad, everyone just accepted her story. Nobody protected me. We will make this right, Mom promised. Whatever you need, we are on your side now. But the damage was done. I felt isolated in a way I never had even in combat zones. At least there I knew who my allies were. I told Kimberly we needed to have a family meeting. All of us. My mom, my siblings, me. She started to protest, but I cut her off. This is not negotiable. If you want any chance of working through this, everyone needs to hear the truth. All of it. We met at my mom's house on Sunday afternoon. Lucas was at a friend's house for a playdate. I arrived with my lawyer. Kimberly's face went gray when she saw him. Everyone sat in the living room. The same room where we had celebrated Christmases and birthdays, where I had announced my deployment, where Kimberly and I had told everyone we were getting married 4 years ago. Now, it felt like a courtroom. I asked everyone here because you all need to understand what actually happened. I started. Not what Kimberly told you. The truth. I laid it all out. Showed them the forged signature. Explained how it differed from my real one. Showed them the fake email account. Displayed the bank statements with the unauthorized withdrawals. Pulled up the credit card bills. My lawyer spoke next. What Mrs. Thompson did constitutes several criminal offenses: identity fraud, forgery, financial fraud. If Casper chose to press charges, his wife could face up to 3 years in prison per offense. Kimberly made a small sound. Brad looked shocked. Diana covered her mouth with her hand. Mom just looked sad. I'm not going to press charges, I said. Kimberly's head snapped up, hope flaring in her eyes. But I am filing for divorce. Casper, no. She stood up. Please. I know I was wrong. I know I messed up. But we can fix this. We can go to counseling. I will do anything. You forged my signature, I said, keeping my voice level. You stole my identity. You spent $23,000 without permission. You lied to everyone we know for 6 months. You planned all of this while I was deployed, while I was trusting you to be honest with me." I looked at her directly. "How do I ever trust you again?" She had no answer. "What about Lucas?" Mom asked softly. "I am going to work with the adoption agency," I said. "The adoption was fraudulent because my consent was forged. That means Lucas's legal status needs to be addressed. If Kimberly wants to adopt him, she can do it properly as a single parent with real documentation." "You would do that?" Diana asked. "Let her keep him." "Lucas did not do anything wrong," I said. "He is a kid who needs a home. I do not blame him for any of this, but I cannot be his father. I cannot build a family on a foundation of lies." I looked at Kimberly. "You have 2 weeks to return the $15,000 from our savings account. You will take responsibility for the $8,000 in credit card debt since you incurred it. If you do not comply, I will file a civil suit to recover the money, and I will press criminal charges." "I do not have $15,000, she whispered. "Then you better figure it out," my lawyer said. "Borrow from family. Sell your car. Get a loan. But this debt is your responsibility, and you will pay it." Brad spoke up. "I will loan you the money, Kimberly, but you will pay me back." She nodded, tears streaming down her face. "I am also going to require that you work with the adoption agency to clarify Lucas's status," I continued. "You need to be honest with them about what happened. If they allow you to proceed with the adoption as a single parent, fine. If not, Lucas will need to be placed with another family. But it has to be done legally this time. They might take him away." Her voice broke on the words. "I could lose him." "You should have thought of that before you broke the law," I said. And I meant it. The meeting ended. Everyone left looking shell-shocked. Mom hugged me on the way out, whispered that she was sorry. Diana and Brad both apologized for not checking with me first. They had been so charmed by Lucas, so impressed by Kimberly's story about saving a child, that they never questioned it. That was the last time I saw Kimberly in person for a long time. The divorce moved forward. She hired her own lawyer, tried to argue that I was being cruel, that I should give her another chance. But the evidence was overwhelming. She had committed fraud. The judge was not sympathetic. The adoption agency launched an investigation. It took 3 months, but eventually they allowed Kimberly to reapply as a single parent. She had to go through the entire process again, this time with real documentation. Lucas stayed with her during that time, but under supervision from social services. She sent me a letter when the adoption was finalized. Said she was sorry. Said she hoped someday I could forgive her. I never wrote back. Moving out was harder than I expected. I got a small apartment near the base, spent the first week sleeping on an air mattress because I did not have any furniture. Everything in our old house had been ours together, and I did not want any of it. Wanted to start completely fresh. The first month was dark. I would wake up at 3 a.m., my mind racing, replaying every conversation with Kimberly from before the deployment. Had there been signs? Had she always been capable of this kind of deception? Had I missed something crucial? My commander noticed I was struggling, referred me to the counseling services available for veterans. I almost did not go, thought I could handle it myself. But one night I found myself sitting in my empty apartment with a bottle of whiskey, staring at my phone, thinking about calling Kimberly just to yell at her some more. That was when I knew I needed help. The counselor's name was Roger. Older guy, former Marine, had seen his share of combat, and then some. He did not judge when I told him my story, just listened, asked good questions, helped me understand that what I was feeling was normal. Betrayal trauma, he called it. Happens when someone you trust completely violates that trust in a fundamental way. It shakes your whole sense of reality. At the counseling center, I met other veterans dealing with similar situations. Guys who came home to find their wives had cleaned out bank accounts. Women who discovered their husbands had been cheating the whole deployment. People whose families had made major decisions without them. We formed an informal support group. Met every Tuesday evening at a coffee shop near base. Those meetings saved me. Hearing other people's stories, realizing I was not alone, it helped. We talked about trust, about rebuilding, about learning to be okay with being alone, about not letting one person's betrayal poison every future relationship. Slowly, I started to feel human again. I got a gym membership, started working out harder than I ever had. The physical exhaustion helped quiet my mind. I took a night class in business management, something I had always wanted to do but never had time for. I reconnected with old friends from high school who still lived in the area. 3 months after moving out, I got promoted. My commander called me into his office, told me I had been selected for a leadership program. It meant more responsibility, better pay, and a clear path toward advancement. I accepted immediately. Threw myself into the work. Let it fill the empty spaces where anger used to live. My family reached out regularly. Mom invited me to dinner every Sunday. Diana sent me funny memes and cat videos just trying to make me smile. Brad invited me to go fishing. Spent a whole Saturday sitting in a boat with me, not talking about Kimberly at all, just being present. They had learned that believing one person's story without verification could have serious consequences. Learned that their loyalty should have been to me first, the person they had known their whole lives, not to someone's narrative about saving a child. It was a hard lesson for all of us. "I should have called you, Mom," said one Sunday over dinner. "The moment Kimberly told me about Lucas, I should have picked up the phone and confirmed it with you. I am so sorry I did not. I forgive you," I told her. And I meant it. But I need you to understand something. I need to know that you have my back. Always. Even when it is hard. Even when the other person has a sympathetic story. "You have my word," she said. "All of us. We made a mistake, and we will never make it again." That mattered. Rebuilding trust with my family was important. It showed me that not everyone was like Kimberly. Some people could admit fault, could change, could be trusted again. Brad transferred the $15,000 to my account 6 months after our family meeting. Kimberly had paid him back slowly, month by month. I put the money toward a down payment on a small house. Nothing fancy, but it was mine. Just mine. Nobody else's name on the deed. I heard through the grapevine that Lucas was doing well. Kimberly had apparently thrown herself into being a mother, took parenting classes, joined support groups for single parents. Part of me was glad for that. The kid deserved a good home. But I never asked for details. That chapter of my life was closed. A year after the divorce was finalized, I met someone at a work conference. Her name was Angela. She was a logistics coordinator for a defense contractor, smart as anything, with a laugh that made everyone in the room turn and smile. We grabbed coffee after one of the panels, talked for 3 hours. When she asked me about my relationship history, I was honest. Told her the whole story. Watched her face for signs of judgment or pity. Found neither. "That must have been incredibly hard," she said. "How do you trust people now?" "Carefully," I admitted. "But I am trying. I figure the alternative is spending the rest of my life alone, and bitter, and that does not sound like much of a life." She nodded. "I respect that. The courage it takes to stay open after being hurt like that." We dated slowly. I appreciated that. No rush. No pressure. She understood when I needed space, when old fears bubbled up, and I got quiet. She was patient. Honest. Did not play games. Did not hide things. 6 months in, I introduced her to my family. Mom loved her immediately. Diana pulled me aside and whispered, "She is nothing like Kimberly. This is good. This is really good." And it was. 2 years after coming home from deployment, I sat on the back porch of my house, watching the sun set over the hills. Angela was inside, making dinner. I could hear her singing along to the radio, slightly off-key, and it made me smile. My phone buzzed. A text from Kimberly. The first contact in over a year. "Lucas turned 7 today. He asked if you might want to see him sometime. No pressure, just thought you should know he asks about you sometimes." I stared at the message for a long time, felt complicated things. Lucas was innocent in all this. He had not chosen the circumstances of his adoption. Part of me wondered what kind of kid he was turning into. If he was happy. If he remembered those first confusing days when I came home. But the larger part of me knew that opening that door would not help anyone. Lucas had a mother who loved him. He had stability now. Me showing up would just confuse things, create connections that should not exist. I was not his father. I had never agreed to be his father. And while I bore him no ill will, I owed him nothing. I deleted the message without responding. Angela came out onto the porch with 2 glasses of iced tea, handed me one, and sat in the chair next to mine. "You okay?" she asked. "Yeah," I said. And I meant it. "Just thinking about how far I have come. Want to talk about it maybe later." I reached over and took her hand. Right now, I just want to sit here with you and watch the sunset. She squeezed my hand. We sat in comfortable silence. Looking back now, I realize that some battles are not fought with weapons, but with the courage to stand up for your own truth. Coming home should have been simple, should have been joyful. Instead, it became the hardest fight of my life. Not because of enemy fire or dangerous missions, but because someone I loved decided their wants mattered more than my rights. I learned that good intentions do not excuse bad actions, that you cannot build anything lasting on lies, no matter how sympathetic the reason behind them. I learned that trust once shattered does not heal quickly or easily. Sometimes it does not heal at all, and that is okay. I learned to value people who showed up for me, even when it was not convenient, who told me the truth, even when it was hard, who respected my boundaries, even when they did not fully understand them. I learned that being alone is better than being with someone who makes you feel alone. And I learned that self-respect, once you reclaim it, is worth more than any relationship built on false foundations. Kimberly made choices. She chose to lie, to forge, to manipulate. She chose her version of compassion over honesty. She chose what she thought was right over what was legal and ethical. And she lost everything because of it. I hope she learned something from that. I hope Lucas never knows the full truth about how he came to be her son. He deserves better than to carry that weight. As for me, I am building something new, something real. With someone who chooses me every day honestly and openly. The road was hard. The betrayal cut deep, but I survived it. Came out stronger. More careful, yes, but also more certain about what I deserve and what I will accept. Trust once broken may never fully heal, but self-respect once reclaimed can set you free. So here is my question for you. Have you ever had to choose between forgiving someone and protecting yourself? How did you know what the right choice was? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If this story resonated with you, hit that like button and subscribe for more real stories about navigating the hardest parts of life. Share this with someone who might need to hear it, someone who is struggling with their own situation and needs to know they are not alone. Thank you for listening to my story. Thank you for being here. I hope you find the courage to stand up for your own truth, whatever that looks like for you. Take care of yourselves. You deserve respect, honesty, and people who show up for you the right way. Until next time.